Plus, to be a part of your day, Kevin Miller in the morning here. Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And as we do every Thank You Thursday, we bribe you. We thank you for listening to our program here on 580 AM and 107.5 FM simply by giving you an opportunity to go see, well, this half hour, the Jersey Boys. That's right, the Jersey Boys. The story of Frankie Valli, they'll be coming to the Morrison Center in a couple weeks. You can go for free simply by listening. When you hear the cue to call, which is me saying, hey, call in now, caller 10 at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. That is not the cue to call right now, though, but keep it here between now and 8:30. Win Kevin Miller's money. Today's code 2 word is drinks. Drinks. So code 2 is drinks. Log into KIDOTalkRadio.com. You could win up to $5,000. Code 3, our word today will be during the Sean Hannity Show at 3:06. Joining us now, Brian Maloney of Seattle fame, of Boston fame, of Media Equalizer fame. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. That's quite an intro.
Well, I don't know if I've ever known anyone outside of Howie Carr, and he actually didn't live in Seattle, that has hosted a show in Boston and Seattle. That's quite an accomplishment.
And yet they have a lot of weird things in common, a lot of weird quirks. Although I got to say, these days Seattle is the place that's really fallen apart. I mean, every time I see a story about Seattle with the homeless Teds, and I mean, I can't believe what's going on there.
And yet you have people that seem to love Seattle, and I mean, it's crazy when people from Idaho go visit. It's culture shock.
Well, I think that it is, but the liberal extremism that's taken over Seattle at this point, I mean, it was always liberal. It was always on the extreme, but they've gone to a fringe now. They're doing weird things there that almost seem random. I've been hearing from people there lately. I think they've absolutely lost their minds beyond anything you can imagine.
Well, it's almost like they want to secede from the United States. They want to join California.
Yeah, when I lived there, I never felt that anyone there was very pro-American, even on a good day. And they'd rather fly the Canadian flag around there, and they do, than the American. You fly an American flag in Seattle, that's a provocation. That's a trigger. So that's an unusual thing to do in Seattle. So it's a funny place.
It is. Let's talk about Roseanne. Brian, you hold the media accountable. Your thoughts on the outcome?
Well, I mean, what I find fascinating is that it's 2 days later, and thing really hasn't died down at all. And, what other television show could get canceled and completely dominate the news cycle for 2 days? And by the way, it's hard to have anything dominate the news cycle for 2 days anymore. Not much of anything can hold our attention for that long. So the fact that this has done so, it just shows how important I think that show was. And how much of an impact it had already had. I don't think it's any coincidence that Roseanne was number one the first time around and number one the second time around, because she tapped into something that resonates with Americans. I think she got in touch with the people, whereas Hollywood and the elite liberal media are out of touch with the people. They're sitting there 2 years later, still pulling their hair out over the election of 2016, where Roseanne instead said, you know what, I get this, and built, the revival of her show around it in ways that instead of just doing a retread of the old show, really brought all these new ideas and concepts, updated concepts into it with this very kind of honest, you kind of have this honest left-right debate going on in the show. It assumed that its audience was intelligent and spoke to the audience at its own level rather than talking down to people and trying to instill political correctness in it like the rest of TV does every day.
Well, and even the clip that a lot of us played at the end, she's talking about being addicted to opioids and Dan trying to figure out how to pay for it, which is something that resonates in nonpartisan real America every day.
Well, that's exactly it. And when you're living in these elite bubbles, you're not dealing with any of that. And I mean, these opioid overdoses are going on all around us. They've got going on in my neighborhood here. I mean, it's just every single day. And you don't have to live in a bad neighborhood to have it going on. It is spread across America. So we have terrible things going on that we need to work on. We have a president who really wants to try and is trying, I think, with a sincere effort. I think it's I am blown away by this president. I think Roseanne is too. But the one thing to keep in mind here is that Roseanne has never been a conservative, per se. She is a populist. And I think, she's been spouting conspiracy theories on Twitter at 3 a.m. for years and years. ABC knew this when they hired her. They knew this. This is a part of what makes Roseanne Roseanne. So, did Roseanne go too far with that tweet? Yes. There's no way to defend the tweet, except there is a lot of confusion about Valerie Jarrett's ethnic background, which I even had to go look it up. I did not know what her when you look at her, it's not clear what her ethnicity is. She looks white to me. I thought she was Middle Eastern. She was born in Iran. She's Muslim. I don't know, but she does have some African American ancestry. So anyway, but the bottom line is, was it smart for Roseanne to do that? Of course not. But Roseanne always was this way. She's always been a loose cannon. It's been part of her career for decades. So, when you hire, when you hire Roseanne, you get Roseanne. So the fact that ABC would be surprised, but I think we've seen corporate America bending over backwards to be politically correct. And, one comparison I would make is to Starbucks, watching Starbucks implode, becoming basically a Greyhound station toilet for passersby who want to shoot up or do. That's what Starbucks is today. And, and that's because political correctness became the business model. And if ABC wants to make political correctness their business model, they're leaving $1 billion on the table by letting Roseanne go. I would think that any network worth its salt would pick that show up immediately.
Brian Maloney joining us, MediaEqualizer.com. You've hit us with so many targets here, Brian. Let's go to the hypocrisy, and echoing your comments, we're not defending what Roseanne tweeted, but the hypocrisy of ABC and particularly ESPN, Jemele Hill, Keith Olbermann. I mean, they don't get fired; they get promoted. Heck, Keith Olbermann got hired. What's the deal with ABC?
Well, I think that's just it. And the fact that they rehired Keith Olbermann, who, first of all, is impossible to work with, has been fired a dozen times. Nobody can stand him. He really has no following. But he's reliably liberal. And the bottom line here is if Roseanne was anti-Trump, she'd still have a show today. If she was against Trump, she'd still be on the air. They would have brushed that tweet aside. It would have been deleted, forgotten. The media would have ignored it. And that would have been the end of it. But because she's pro-Trump, then it became World War III. So the same thing with Keith Olbermann. His past is airbrushed out. And he has had some of the most vile rants on Twitter that you can even imagine. I'm sure you've seen them. And the bottom line there also is that what is the most disgusting thing about this is that those of you who have not cut the cord yet, it's not always so easy to do, and even now in some ways for some people, depending on where you are, about $10 of your monthly cable bill is going toward ESPN. So that is a Disney ABC property, ESPN. So we have to pay for that out of our cable bill for a channel that most people don't watch. So that's what's so disgusting. We actually have to subsidize Keith Olbermann's career with our money as a condition of having one of those cable bundle packages, and it's disgusting.
Well, and here's another one. You've got Joy Reid, who now it looks like she's under fire not only for her homophobic comments, but now being a truther, if you will, and NBC continues to defend her. Well, that's exactly it. And, and you look at the conspiracy theory that came up about her blog posts. I didn't put those there. The Russians did it, et cetera. It's just right. And it was proven wrong because they did an analysis with the Wayback Machine, and it was abundantly clear that snapshots had been taken of her website years ago. She really did post those anti-gay rants on there, and nothing happens to her. If she was a conservative, if she was a Trump supporter, she'd be tossed out in her rear. So there's a double standard. But it's up to us as Americans to fight back and to really say we've had it with this. I don't know, did this poke the bear? Are we waking up out there? I hope so. We really need to get angry and take action this year. We've got a major election coming up. We need to do something about this. Brian, we know we've got to get you out on this one, so if people would like to join the fight, to join the Media Equalizer, what can they do? Well, the best thing to do is join our Facebook group. It's called Stop the Scalpings. We've been growing like crazy. We have 111,000 members now. We've added thousands more recently because of these controversies.
And we'd love to have the rest of your listeners on board. Many of your listeners have already joined from our past appearances on your show. But Stop the Scalpings is what it's called. Just look that up. Look for the group with 111,000 members, not the small copycat groups that unfortunately still exist out there on Facebook. But if you just do that search on Facebook, Stop the Scalpings, you'll find us. We'd love to have you.
Brian, we always appreciate your great work. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Brian Maloney joining us. MediaEqualizer.com, and
we always appreciate your group.
Joining us now is our own Equalizer, the publisher of the Gem State Patriot. We like to call him the sweet prince of the Treasure Valley, Tea Party Bob.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. Would it be possible to put Liberal Steve on vacation for a couple of weeks? This guy is such a jerk. You really need to put a muzzle on him.
Welcome to KIDO Talk Radio.
I'm never going to understand what people don't get about the statements. We get the government we deserve. Politicians will never stop spending our money until we tell them to stop by voting them out of office. You know, this is a subject I've been talking about for several years, and it is only when property taxes get so high that homeowners actually get annoyed about the spending of their local, county, and state officials. You know, we just had a primary election where only 34% of the registered voters actually came out to vote. And even in the last general, only 59% of the eligible voters came out to vote. This is one of the reasons we see our taxes continue to go up. Each time there's an election, the people who get paid with our tax dollars go to the polls and vote for the politicians that aren't going to cut their salaries or their jobs. Think about the fact that the state of Idaho is the largest employer in the state with 36,000 employees, which includes teachers. That equals 72,000 votes when you include their spouses. That is what happened in the last election. And the crony politicians were voted back into office again. If you want taxes, if you want lower taxes, you need to voice your opinion at the ballot box during the elections, not after they've raised your taxes. When a developer like Tommy Alquist or even others come to your town and propose a new urban development, you need to tell them that you've got to pay the higher impact fees to take care of the infrastructure.
Well, that's a good point,
that's
though.
That's going to be needed to support it.
But that's a good point. But let's face it, the election's over. You had people in Meridian saying they don't want a Costco, they don't want a Winco, and guess what they're getting? A Costco and eventually a Winco. They continue to ignore the will of the people. You know that. That's what is it? Chinden and 10 Mile. People don't need more traffic there. The infrastructure can't handle the Fred Meyers and the 10 Mile Walmart.
Well, then you need to make it more costly for these people to put these developments up. Or you need to vote the politicians out of office that allow them to go through. You know, every time you put up this multiple family housing, new schools are going to be needed to take care of the children that are going to be moving into that multiple family housing. They don't do enough of that. Proposition 13 failed in California because no one reined in the spending by the politicians. If you cap your taxes, you need to cap your spending. You know, as I said several times before, we need to take care of the elderly by putting a cap on how much their taxes can be raised. It's a real problem. But the apathy lies with the voters who like to complain about the big spending, but they continue to elect the same stupid politicians that keep raising their taxes. As I said in the beginning, we get the government we deserve.
Tea Party Bob, GemStatePatriot.com. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care, my friend.
All right. Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Coming up next, your chance to see the Jersey Boys. Listen here for details. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Hey. How many of us are dreaming of lower property taxes? That's one topic we've discussed this morning at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Coming up next, your chance to win tickets to see the Jersey Boys. But first, traffic. Thank you very much, Larry Gebert. Currently 60 in Caldwell on 580 AM, 107.5 FM. Why not? Caller 10, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You're going to go see Jersey Boys, courtesy of Kevin Miller in the morning. Our way of thanking you for listening to 580 AM and 107.5 FM KIDO Talk Radio. And while you're calling in for the Jersey Boy tickets, this is something that we talked about earlier in the program. If you weren't up at 6 o'clock, like our friend Mike Miniger, this is I'm just going to ask an open, basic question, and this is about children. Do you love children? We love children, right? Children are the best. Children are our hopes and our dreams and the greatest blessing that God can give us, right? And children, your grandchildren, should be innocent. We'd like to think of all of our kids, whether they're 5 or 55, as innocents. A parent, a guardian, a step-parent, an uncle, an aunt, a friend will always look at their children as innocent. Comes from the gift of unconditional love, I believe. And when we take a look at children and what they should be used for, kids should have every opportunity that many of us didn't, right? We always wish, and it was always the American dream, that kids lived a better life, a higher quality of living than their parents. Today, that is in jeopardy. It has been for the past couple generations. Thank you, Lib Bill Clinton, for destroying the American dream. Thank you, Donald Trump, for trying to restore it. But there was an incident that happened at the White House yesterday involving a child. And it was involving school safety, school shooting. And coincidentally enough, Sarah Sanders called on him, right? Sarah Sanders called on him. And this is what happened.
In high school, we recently had a lockdown drill. One thing that affects mine and other students' mental health is to worry about the fact that we or our friends could get shot at school. Specifically, can you tell me what the administration has done and will do to prevent these senseless tragedies?
I think that as a kid and certainly as a parent, there is nothing that could be more terrifying for a kid to go to school and not feel safe. So I'm sorry that you feel that way. This administration takes it seriously, and the School Safety Commission that the president convened is meeting this week, again, an official meeting to discuss the best ways forward and how we can do every single thing within our power to protect kids in our schools and to make them feel safe and make their parents feel good about dropping.
There we have it. By the way, I forgot to congratulate last hour's winner, Scott in Meridian. And I believe we do have a winner this hour for the Jersey Boys. We'll give you the details next. But at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, let's face it. Sarah Sanders was put on the spot by a little kid. A little kid who said that he was scared, but he used awful lot of big words, right? And why do people, primarily the libs, use kids as pawns? We'll talk about that next. By the way, congratulations to Ronald and Payette for winning our tickets to the Jersey Boys. Ronald, we appreciate you listening to KIDO Talk Radio, 580 AM, 107.5 FM. And Scott in Meridian, thank you again for listening as well. Your calls, your thoughts next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie. And to Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern joins us, Fox News Radio on KIDO Talk Radio. Jared, good morning.
Good morning to you.
So if Donald Trump had to do it all over again, Jeff Sessions would not be the Attorney General?
It sounds like no. It's, we've certainly seen these public displays of dissatisfaction with the Attorney General from President Trump. But there's still no suggestion that he's actually taking action on this, right? I mean, yesterday at the briefing, Sarah Sanders was again asked, why isn't the president just firing Jeff Sessions? And she said, there's no personnel announcements to make. Rudy Giuliani, who's now on the president's legal team, talked to a few reporters outside the White House yesterday and said that, the advice that's been given to the president is to leave Sessions in place. So it seems like, more of a public venting. It's a weird dynamic when you think about, one, just, the Attorney General, being complained about by his boss. But remember, too, the background between Jeff Sessions and President Trump. Jeff Sessions, as a senator, was the first senator to endorse Donald Trump. when the field was still very crowded and there was still a lot of hand-wringing amongst Republicans about the things that future President Trump was saying, about the direction he might pull the Republican Party. Jeff Sessions was on board. He was the earliest of supporters for President Trump and was rewarded with becoming, Attorney General, which is a position that, is a longtime member of the Senate Judiciary Committee with views on immigration and other law enforcement issues aligned with the president that seemed like a good fit. And then obviously recusing himself is what has set off the president. That he, blindsided by it and being very upset that Jeff Sessions recused himself from the Russia investigation. Obviously, that was one of the dominoes that led to the appointment of a special counsel.
And yet Jeff Sessions has done a lot of things that the president has agreed with. What's his relationship with people in the Senate, even if people that don't agree with him, does he have respect of both sides of the aisle?
It wasn't a fully bipartisan vote, but, senators are always deferential to one another generally. And so I think that's part of it, too, is I think there are a couple of things, and you hit on one of them that I think is why Jeff Sessions remains the Attorney General. One is, to your point, yes, he seems to be implementing policies that are full on the agenda of what the president ran on, right? And you've seen that on some of the immigration things. You've seen that on some of the other law enforcement policies that the Attorney General has rolled out, sometimes with little fanfare, but, sort of the day-to-day operations of the Department of Justice. And two, yes, I do think that Jeff Sessions, as a former senator, remains has kept a lot of, the allies in the Senate, particularly from Senate Republican leaders who, again, because of the policies he's rolling out, I think like what he's doing. In many ways, I think, and obviously there's not parallels in sort of the criticism, but some of the things that I think have helped Scott Pruitt, for instance, at the EPA, who has faced all sorts of questions about ethics, about spending, about, management, but has laid out the agenda that the president ran on for the EPA and has delivered on that. So that seems to be part of this equation. Now, you don't hear the president talk so much about that with Jeff Sessions, but there does seem to be a lot of support that he retains in Congress from Republicans in Congress who do say that he did the right thing, that he followed the Justice Department guidelines on recusal because he was going to have to answer questions about the meeting that he had with the Russian ambassador, that it was clear he wasn't going to be able to oversee this investigation, which is why he made the decision he made. Obviously, the president did not agree with it. We saw reporting yesterday, it started in the New York Times, that, days after that announcement, the president in Mar-a-Lago tried to convince Jeff Sessions to reverse course, to reverse that decision. Jeff Sessions refused to do that. All that being said, if the president really were going to fire Jeff Sessions over the recusal, he's had months to do that. So, we'll see if it moves beyond the sort of Twitter announcements that we've seen from the president.
Although, it's been rumored in various reports, conservative media has been bashing Jeff Sessions for quite some time.
Yeah.
But as you just alluded to, he has a lot of friends in the Senate, particularly Senate Republicans, that would not really embrace Jeff Sessions being fired for what the Attorney General thought and did was follow proper protocol.
Well, there's that, and there's also this. If you get rid of a cabinet position, you have to confirm a new cabinet position. It will be extraordinarily difficult for President Trump to get a new Attorney General confirmed. One, because of the very narrow majority that Republicans now have in the United States Senate, particularly with the sustained absence of Senator McCain. And two, they are trying to get through a backlog of nominees already. So they're already backed up with trying to get through nominees. To add a major nominee, like an attorney general, would not be an easy task, particularly as you move closer and closer and closer to the midterm elections.
Jared, we could go on and on talking about politics with you. We so appreciate your insights.
Let's do it.
You have a great day, Jared. Thank you.
You too. Take care.
Jared Halpern joining us. Why don't we do this, Ray Amaya? Are you ready? Are you fueled up? Okay. Let's do caller 8 at 580-5436 for those family 4-pack, friendly 4-pack to the Boise Music Festival as part of Thank You Thursdays. Caller 8 right now at 580-KIDO. You're going to win that family 4-pack And again, thank you for listening. Please tell a friend. Please share. I guess that's the word, share, if you will. Let's go to Joe in Meridian about Jeff Sessions with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Joe.
Hi, Kevin. How are you doing today?
Living the dream, and you?
Doing great. God keeps blessing me every day, Kevin. Loving Idaho. I had some friends visit from out of town yesterday and got to show them a little Idaho hospitality, so that was fun. They don't always get that in the Golden State.
Yeah.
So, hey, on Jeff Sessions, I don't know if there's a lot you can do right now, but I believe the reality is sometimes hard decisions, sometimes you have to make decisions that aren't always comfortable for you, but they're right for the country or right for the position that you're in. And, if you look back at what Jeff Sessions did right away, it was the easiest way for him to go, I believe, in the sense that he doesn't have to make a decision. But I don't think it was right for the country because you have obvious people in positions like Rod Rosenstein who are Obama supporters. And so, I think that's the issue that people are frustrated with. I don't think they think that he's an unethical person. I just think that you got somebody who made decisions based on, solely on, in my opinion, saving face and not putting yourself in a tough situation. I don't think he had to recuse himself based on accusations until they're proven, right? And I think there's an issue there, and I think Trump has a point. Now, do I think all of Trump's problems come from Jeff Sessions? No, but reality is it's very difficult. You're on an attorney general to kind of be your back from a legal standpoint, and that's why you put him in that position. And for them, the first day that they're in the business, to say, I'm out on this particular issue, that is going to basically define a lot of what the media talks about the first year. That's kind of rough, right? So I feel like he made a bad decision. I think he's a good person, and I think he's probably trying hard, but I feel like he just kind of, knelt down to the liberal media, liberal left, like a lot of the Republicans do, right?
Well,
and I think Trump's frustrated with that because that's not how you win. The way that you win is you stand up for what you believe in, and you don't let them, take you out by making stupid accusations. So that's my thoughts. What are your thoughts?
Well, Joe, the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats, Obama's mouthing off now, I never had scandals because he had Loretta Lynch and Eric Holder that did have his back. And the difference is, you point that out about Jeff Sessions, he doesn't want any conflict of interest, so he punts, and that's really what Republicans do. The libs play for keeps. I mean, you can't tell me that the NSA, the IRS, everybody else that was, tools of the government that were used against conservative Americans, that's not a scandal. I mean, Lois Lerner and the IRS, what happened to James Rosen, the NSA accusing him, going to a FISA court against him, you can't tell me that was not an abuse of power and that wasn't a scandal.
Exactly.
And
I'm with you on that. And so you got on the one hand, we got people that are abusing power, and we know they are, and nothing happens to them. On the other hand, we have some flimsy accusation, and all of a sudden now, because an accusation is made, you can't do your job. I think that's ridiculous. That's my point. I think it was a really poor decision. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I just think it was a really poor decision.
Well, and never mind the fact that, again, Lynch and Holder and Hillary Clinton, it's just crazy.
It's crazy times.
Well, Joe, keep living the dream, brother.
God bless you. Thanks, Kevin.
God bless you. All right. Our winner, Cindy in Caldwell, and it's not that Cindy in Caldwell. There's another Cindy in Caldwell that listens to this program. That's awesome. She's going, her friends, her family, maybe 3 total strangers, a family-friendly 4-pack to the Boise Music Festival, June 23rd at Expo Idaho. Congratulations, Cindy in Caldwell, right? 580-5436, 580-KIDO. I still can't get enough of this televangelist who wants $50 million for a jet. We'll talk a little bit about that. But the NBA Finals are here. And you're going, oh, Kevin, you're not going to try to be one of these news guys that talk sports. No. But LeBron James, the greatest athlete of this generation, people say that he's even better than Michael Jeffrey Jordan, And all those folks from Ohio, where all good things come from, and some not so good things come from, they're the Cavs and this, that, and the other. But really, is LeBron, and look, LeBron James does a lot of good things, doesn't get into trouble, but he backed Hillary Clinton in the election. And LeBron James makes a statement, to me, that goes to the point that athletes should stay out of politics unless they want to run for office. This is last year where LeBron James calls President Trump a name.
First of all, you don't understand the magnitude, and you don't understand. He doesn't understand the power that he has for being the leader of this beautiful country. He doesn't understand how many kids, no matter the race, look up to the President of the United States for guidance, for leadership, for words of encouragement. He doesn't understand that. And that's what makes me more sick than anything, that we have someone this is the number one position in the world. Do you guys agree? Being the President of the United States is the most powerful position in the world. I don't know of another one. And if you can find one, let me know. It's the most powerful position in the world. And we are at a time where the most powerful position in the world has an opportunity to bring us closer together as a people and inspire the youth and put the youth at ease on saying that it is okay for me to walk down the street and not be judged because of the color of my skin or because of my race. And he has no recollection of that. And he doesn't even care. Maybe he does, but he doesn't care. So do I take away, do I just say, take away you bum off my, no, because if I did, I would have deleted my tweet.
There you have it, LeBron James defending it. This was a year ago, calling Donald Trump a bum and playing it in context where he doesn't agree with the president's stance on race, although, people try and stick Trump with the white supremacist tag, Jamil Hill and others. Donald Trump's talking about making America great again for everyone. But here you have an athlete, again, a very successful young man, a graduate of St. Mary's High School, his hometown of Akron, Ohio, truly the benefit of a meritocracy, who backed Hillary Clinton, who actually had a safety pin and was on the cover of Sports Illustrated when that still mattered. The folks that lost, they were wearing safety pins to say, it's okay, it's going to be okay because Donald Trump won. Never mind the culture contamination of the Clintons. The Clintons are not nice people. And then you have LeBron James calling the president a bum. And I love how LeBron James, again, highly successful young man, would never take that away from him. You couldn't. Lecturing Donald Trump on how he doesn't understand the office. And Donald Trump simply saying, look, you don't want to come? You're not invited. What's wrong with that? But shouldn't athletes just worry about putting a ball through a hoop? I mean, they get paid a lot of money to wear baggy shorts to put a ball through a hoop. Isn't that their area of expertise? Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Don't forget Glenn Beck coming up next, followed by Dave Ramsey, Sean Hannity, and Lars Larson. What about these athletes today? LeBron James in the news. Lisa, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Hi. As I told your screener, this is a hot button for me because I work for the same parent company that he does. And, when he made those comments a while ago about, the Trump voters were just uneducated and, the owner of the company sent out an email to everybody saying, I was really discouraged by all the racist comments that I got about this. And I'm like, if I had said the exact same thing in my capacity as my job with the same company, I would have been fired. And I just think, honestly, I don't contribute to the bottom line the way he does. I get that. But you know what? I mean, it's just like, the people who, I don't think that, Roseanne, I don't really care. But other people say the same things, the exact same things about conservatives, and it's okay. And LeBron can say what he wants, and it's okay. But I can't say that, And I just think the double standard is what's choking everybody.
Now, you work for Quicken Loans, is that right?
I do.
And is that a good company?
It is an awesome company.
Yeah. Dan Gilbert really doesn't get a lot of credit for the awesome company, though, does he?
No, and you know what? And I get that, but I think, you know what? I'm an appraiser. And so if I walked into somebody's home and I started spouting off about, stupid liberals or any, you know what? 3 seconds later, I wouldn't have a job anymore. And that's the part that's upsetting to me is like the double standard that LeBron James can get out there and call half of America uneducated because they voted for Trump. And it's okay. And if you say anything against it, you're a racist. Whereas nobody would care if I got fired for saying something about liberals.
Well, they'd encourage it because you don't have any tolerance. That's right. No, you're great.
Yeah.
You're right. Lisa, we appreciate it. So are you going for the Warriors or the Cavs?
You know what? I'm going to tell you, I really don't like the Cavs because of LeBron James. So I'm going for the Warriors, even though I'm not a big fan of either one of them. So
I'm with you on that. Lisa, thank you.
Have a good day.
All right. We appreciate it. Andrew and Meridian, hang on first. Traffic. Andrew, good morning. Go ahead, please, sir.
Hey, how are you this morning?
Great. You're going to bring us home, so you've got the last word.
Okay, so the thing about all of this is all of us have varying different opinions. And someone like LeBron James and someone like Donald Trump, they are in leadership positions. But the thing about leadership positions is it's not about making laws or rules about what people should do or how they should talk or what they should do. It's about being in front and doing what needs to be done because that's what needs to be done. And you saw it first, and they're following you. That's what a leader is. And most of the time, all of us need to just forget what everybody else is doing and engage in the only form of government that has any chance of being good, and that's self-government.